We've got a super important update for you guys in today's YouTube video because Bitcoin has continued to hold its range in the wake of this massive news. Of course, Binance's CEO stepping down. We were right on all of this news last night. If you guys were subscribed, you would have seen all of that right as it all played out, which was absolutely fantastic. And one of the key ideas that I actually spoke to you guys about in yesterday's video was that despite this news being huge, right? I mean, this is, and by the way, there is so much that I'm going to tell you guys about this. Just wait for me to get to it later on in the video. If you are excited, do me a favor, smash up those likes. One of the key things I was telling you guys in yesterday's video is that the fact that we had such a big piece of news and the market just kind of shrugged it off tells us a little bit about the potential strength that we could be having in this market right now. I don't want to go too far into making conclusions and getting too excited about that kind of thing, but I think some of the price action confirms that for us as well. And I do, of course, just want to start off over here, though, with some Bitcoin price analysis. And I do want to start more specifically with this chart right here, guys. Take a look at this one. This is Bitcoin on the hourly time frame with some key areas of resistance that we are facing right now at about this 36.6k area. We've seen some heavy tests of this area throughout the last 2 weeks that we've been trading in this range, and we are now finding resistance here again. If we're able to get above this local area of resistance, we're going to be right back up at the range highs. So if I can just show you what that looks like on the chart live, just to give you a better idea, I'm actually just going to remove all of these lines because they're not relevant to this right now. It's just testing some strategies. What I do want to highlight and bring to your attention is that we have this kind of, rough range right here, right? And if we are able to clear above it, then we're going to be looking at these local highs, and that is going to put us back on the path to rising back above $38,000. We have now tested this level conclusively 1 to 3 times, and much more than that if you're a little bit more generous with the way you count it. And I think that really tells us that this market, with this bullish structure already, is in a good position. Now, there's a lot of holes that you can poke in this, right? I mean, we can throw the RSI up on this chart and we can really start to see that, we've had some sort of, bearish divergence forming on this market now for quite some time. So it's definitely not the best position in the world the way we are seeing things right now, and at the same time, we've still held, very, very strong in the face of really bad news. So, indicators are telling you one thing, but extremely clear price action, is telling you something else. And that's why I'm just not too worried about where this market is right now. And in fact, one of the big things that I think is worth noting before we even get into the technicals, because I want to outline some of my next trade updates and take a little bit of a deeper look into Binance. There's a lot of questions about if Binance is safe to use right now. Binance had a massive number of withdrawals off the exchange yesterday, and I don't think that was necessary. If you were already putting too much money on your exchange, then of course you should be withdrawing that to keep your money safe and to keep custody of your own funds. But, for people that are just getting scared, I don't necessarily think that was necessary. And at the same time, there's been so much shit in the space that I can't fucking blame you. It's just not comfortable to leave your funds on exchanges. I like to talk to you guys about some killer alternatives that I've been using in this market. Obviously, Bybit has been my main partner in this crypto space all the way back since like 2018, 2019. I fucking love these guys, and they are rock solid. They're actually right behind Binance in terms of trading volume, but way safer in my experience. But bottom line, regardless of what you use, you need to keep only a very small functional amount of capital on these exchanges, and anything more than that, you just you're starting to take unnecessary risks. Obviously, when you check out these links, you're going to get some huge bonuses. CoinW's bonus is something that I want to highlight to you guys as well, because with a lot of these exchanges like Bybit or BingX, you've got to sign up, you've got to trade, you've got to make some deposits, whatever. Like make your first deposit, stuff like that. CoinW, nothing like that. CoinW is like, what? Fuck all of that. You don't even need to do KYC. All you've got to do is open a futures account using my link down below, and they're going to give you $50 for free to trade with. And then if you decide to deposit some money, you've only got to put $100 in and make any trade amount, even worth $1, and they're going to give you another $100 in bonuses. So these are great alternatives because of the shit going on with Binance. Like I said yesterday, and we're going to dive deeper into this soon, I don't actually think that Binance is necessarily unsafe to be using right now, but at the same time, if this is a wake-up call for you and you want to level your trading game up, you don't want to be on the exchange that all the noobs are using, then, you've got some solid alternatives here. But one of the big things I want to talk to you about before we get further into the technicals is just what this space is becoming. We've now seen... the dude, I think his name is Richard Teng. He's based here in the UAE. That has superseded, if that's the right word, CZ's position. He's become the new CEO of Binance. This guy is proper fucking, suit and tie, prim and proper. Everything corporate, white collar style. He is not the crypto guy that, used to run shit back in this space a few years ago, like the Arthur Hayes of the world and the CZ and just the absolute crazy fucking idiots, the John McAfees, you know what I mean? Like, if you guys remember these guys, just drop me a note in the comment section and tell me I missed the crypto OGs, because I'll tell you what, I fucking missed the crypto OGs, because Richard Teng is a guy that was in charge of the ADGM, Abu Dhabi Global Markets, I think regulations or something like that. He was in charge of some regulatory stuff in Singapore as well. Like, this dude is a big guy. He is even part of the WEF. So whatever opinions you have of that are your business entirely. But he's not a crypto guy. And I think this is really important to keep in mind. Or at least you can call yourself a crypto guy now. But he's not like the kind of crypto guy that you and I probably are. And that's a big thing that this space is changing, and if we relate this back to price, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Bitcoin is in a fucking brilliant opportunity right now. It has an amazing opportunity to rise so much higher. I mean, I think the thing that, there's a lot of people that are really bearish about this market right now, and I can kind of see why, but let's not lose sight of the fact that Bitcoin has broken its most formidable area of resistance, and it did it after 7 months of trading sideways. There's still a lot of people with their bear porn ideas thinking that Bitcoin's going to crash right back below that 30K level. But ladies and gents, it took Bitcoin on its first time ever to break this area of resistance. It took Bitcoin 500 days to do that. 500 days to do that, to break it as support. And it took Bitcoin another 220 days to break it as resistance, right? So, this is a strong fucking level in the market. And, is it possible that really strong levels can just completely dissolve and crumble instantly when you hit them? Yes, absolutely. That is definitely possible. But how probable is that? How likely is that to actually happen? And I don't think you can easily make an argument to say that that is likely to happen. It's just not the kind of thing that you typically see when you've got such a strong area of support in the market or resistance, and then you manage to go up above it. It's reasonable to expect that it's going to be strong support again. Why am I bringing this up? Well, I think the markets right now are poised. They're in a really good position for things to start changing. This is almost more of a podcast, this first little bit of this video. Guys, do me a favor and throw up a like. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you appreciate this kind of content, because I'm talking about some real shit right now that nobody else is talking about with you. And it is that with these kind of guys that are running shit now. Binance is the biggest crypto company. They fucking own CoinMarketCap. That's like owning Wikipedia, for crypto. They own CoinMarketCap. This is Binance that we're talking about. And now the head of Binance is a guy who's not even like, a crypto visionary, like at all. We're talking about the difference from Steve Jobs to Tim Cook. We're talking about the difference of Bill Gates to Satya Nadella. Like, they're great guys at their job, and we haven't seen Richard Teng, but if the guy was chosen by CZ, of course he's got to be legit. And at the same time, they're not the innovators, right? These are not the guys that are pushing these ships forward. These are the guys that are scaling things. These are not the guys that are building the ship. These are the guys that are, scaling things, taking it higher, dealing with regulatory issues, being compliant all around the world, which is a totally different kettle of fish to what, the likes of CZ would have to deal with in their first years of running their company. And what does that mean for Bitcoin? What does that mean for the crypto space? Well, when everything's moving in that direction, when you've got an ETF around the corner, right? And, the people who are in charge of passing that ETF application are going to be looking at, regulatory compliance and the space getting a little bit more boring, tightening up, becoming safer. Well, what better path for the future, for this speculative price action do we have? What better path do we have than the biggest guys in the biggest positions calling the shots being right from those neighborhoods? It really does get you thinking. One by one, what's happened, and I fucking warned you guys about this years ago. If you were here and you heard this shit, you have been around through some really tough shit with me. We've been in this together. I fucking told you all about this years ago, and I didn't like saying it, but I knew it was the truth anyway, and it's materialized now. Richard Teng inheriting the CEO position in Binance is the best proof of this, which is I was telling you guys that this crypto space is going to go from, the place where people like you and I are calling the shots, are, like, we're the community, it's all about us, it's beautiful, it's philanthropic, it's, all of these, really, really cool things that, like, you could just be a nerd and make a shitload of money in your fucking mom's basement, that kind of thing. I was telling you guys that is going. We've got the big guys entering the space now. They're coming in with their big fucking expensive suit and ties, from New York, from Wall Street and all that. And they are one by one going to dismantle the space and make it theirs. And that is exactly what we've seen. There is so much evidence to show that that's exactly what's happened. And one of the best examples of that I keep referring you guys back to is what happened to Bitcoin back in 2017 and 2018, where we had, specifically 2018, I don't know why it's not loading up here. We had JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon calling, Bitcoin an absolute shit show, and, thinking of every, kind of possible, insult to give to Bitcoin, to the point where they're able to drop the price of Bitcoin by half from 6K to 3K. And then they quietly start buying over here, which means that they've scared you, the average guy, out of your Bitcoin position, and then waited for Bitcoin to halve in price. And then they started buying your cheap Bitcoins, and then they started announcing that they hold the Bitcoins on these subsequent rallies up. I mean, this is how the game works. And this is one of the key things I've been telling you guys about for so long with regards to the ETF and other big things that people get excited about, which is simply that when these kind of big players come into space, they don't make the average guy rich. You and I, we're the average small guy. They don't make us rich. If you're not part of that group, if you're not in fucking BlackRock or whatever the deal may be, I'm not even going to say names. It doesn't matter. It really is irrelevant. If you are not sitting at those tables, they will not make you rich. And that is the poor man's fucking wet dream in the crypto space, that this BlackRock ETF is going to come in and change shit up. I fucking guarantee you that that's not going to be the case. I guarantee you that that's not going to be the case. It's never how it works. When these kind of big players enter the space, they don't enter the space to make you rich. They enter the space to scare the shit out of you and buy your cheap shit and then sell it back to you at the top. This is how the game works. And if you think anything else, then, like, how are you even watching my channel, bro? Like, like that doesn't even make sense to me. I don't know how you could have made it this far into a video of mine, and not had your fucking mind explode by too many reality bombs, but that fundamental stuff is really important because it puts us in a position where, we could actually be looking at some really positive price action coming for Bitcoin now, given that things have been cleaned up. And that kind of paves the way for a lot of this money to come in. And by the way, this is at a time where people are still really scared and worried, and it's like I've said just in yesterday's video and today, we're still doing okay. Now, if we take a look at this from a couple different perspectives before we go on to the altcoin analysis and the other Binance stuff I wanted to go over with you guys, we have lost a lot of our spread on the EMA ribbon, which definitely shows us that Bitcoin has lost steam on this shorter term time frames. If we look at this on the 4-hour Ichimoku cloud, we have been doing okay. We kind of fell out of the Ichimoku cloud, but now our cloud is very thin, so I can no longer have confidence in it. We did bounce off it quite nicely when the cloud was a little bit thicker. We actually got some really nice bounces from low to high. This was an 8% bounce, and over here, this was another 6% bounce, but now it's getting a little bit thinner, and we've only seen a 2.5% bounce or so. So, that's not great, and I don't know how much more faith I'm going to have in this Ichimoku cloud because it is quite thin. As we know, the thicker the clouds, the more the support, the thinner the clouds, the less the support. And you're obviously going to know this if you've watched my Ichimoku cloud tutorial video on how to get and use this indicator, which you can type into the YouTube search bar. And of course, also those of you who are inside of my 4Flies VIP group, which is 50% off right now, you guys can also get free access into the 4Flies Academy course, depending on which package you take. And that's where I'm teaching you absolutely. I mean, you're basically downloading my brain into yours. That's the promise that I make you with this course. And it has done very, very well at achieving that. So that's fantastic. And so Ichimoku cloud not really holding up too well right now, but it's still done okay, and I'm not too upset about it. On the daily time frame, it's really far away, but what's not far away is the daily EMA ribbon, and this is where I think Bitcoin has a good amount of relief in its way now. We have rallied up incredibly strongly off this big candle from the 16th of October. Just from the start of that candle to our high was a 39% move, and since then we've seen the price retrace down and the ribbon move up as well at the same time. So So we've now started to see that this long-term display of momentum is now providing ample support to Bitcoin, and that is absolutely fantastic. It's typically when Bitcoin rallies really hard, typically it's hard for Bitcoin to actually lose this area of support on the daily time frame. Here's another example that was very similar. We got one very nice big bounce off this EMA ribbon before an absolute fake out that if you were paying attention, was actually a massive opportunity to make money, and you already know that I damn well made sure that I took advantage of that opportunity. I was sitting in over a 700% profit on this position. It's still, by the way, pretty close. I mean, I'm basically at the exact same profit. Yeah, like literally the exact same profit right now, percentage wise, which is absolutely fantastic. Maybe even dollar wise. It might be time for me to close a little bit more of this position right now. Let me actually take a look with you guys here on this YouTube video. But what we saw was that with the exception of this deviation, I mean, Bitcoin still managed to hold on pretty well. And then we continued to find some nice bounces off this ribbon of support, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So take a look at this, guys. Here is my Tron position right there. That is sitting at a beautiful 300% profit. I've actually just taken a little bit more profit off the table on that position, and here is a live view of my Bitcoin position. I've still got a further $50,000 in profit that I haven't taken off the table. I've already secured 140k, and I only put in about 100k into this trade. So pretty good returns. I'm super happy with that. That's like a 3 times return on my capital. So absolutely fantastic. Super happy with that indeed. And of course that trade was executed on Bybit, where when you start trading using my link down below, you are going to be getting up to $30,000 in free trading capital that you can throw back into the market. They've got a huge suite of offers available to you guys. It is well worth checking out. And those of you that are already registered with Bybit, you can actually reach out to us by email or directly to me on Telegram. Send me your user ID. You can get that in Bybit. It's very easy to find just in your user profile, top left on the app, or I think top right if you're on the web app. iPhone top left, Android top left. Tell me that you want to be under my referral network, and there's no fees that you pay, nothing like that, but you are going to get my free trading package worth much more than $100, to be honest. You're going to get it sent straight to you, some key psychological lessons I've learned. Super cool stuff. And so if we do come back here to the price action and take a look at this this EMA ribbon, we've got good support here, and that is definitely something I'm liking the look of. And it is a bottom line, still showing that Bitcoin is, still in this, nice sideways trading range. I mean, you can overreact as much as you like, and I certainly invite you to do so, because that's the kind of thing that makes people like me more money. But ultimately, if you just break this market down into its key components of what has actually happened, we have seen, for example, a rise over here and a pullback, a rise and a pullback, a rise, pullback, rise, further rise, which is unusual, and then another rise, and since then we have just been sideways. And when you break the market down into these components, what you start to see is that you've got the trend and then the continuation pattern. You've got the trend continuing and then the continuation pattern. Continuation pattern can mean consolidation, it can mean pullback, it can mean whatever you want it to mean. But typically what we refer to when we say continuation pattern is simply, this is the pattern that the market produces when it is getting ready to continue the trend. Okay, so the trend itself is when we're moving in the direction of the trend. The continuation pattern is when we're getting ready to continue that trend. So we've got trend here, continuation, trend, continuation, trend, continuation, trend, continuation, trend, and finally another set of continuation patterns on the chart. So that's my read on this. It's been my read on this. It's almost always how I read the chart. It's incredibly simple. It's incredibly effective. It's one of the reasons that I perform so well in the market. It's one of the reasons that I was able to so confidently hold on to my Bitcoin position while Bitcoin was doing the same thing over here. Take a look at this. Trend, continuation, trend, continuation, trend, massive fucking continuation, 7 months continuation. Take a look at this, 220 days, 7 months of continuation, and I still held on to my long position. and the reason I was able to do that was because the market just didn't invalidate my trade. And that was the philosophy that I applied back then. That is the exact same philosophy that I am applying right now when I tell you that Bitcoin is doing the same thing again. Does it mean that Bitcoin must rise up? No, of course not. Does it mean that Bitcoin is still pointing toward the upward direction and therefore perhaps more likely to rise up? Well, that's a little bit more of a nuanced discussion. I would say yes. So, that's something which I'm definitely quite keen on seeing how it might play out. I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about Binance's security, though, before we do move on. There's some cool stuff I want to talk to you about with the altcoins as well right after this, and then a little bit more Bitcoin analysis. But, the main thing I want to bring up just at the very, very beginning here is that, Binance having to pay this $4 billion settlement with the U.S. is not the first time that this has happened. Federal courts ordered BitMEX to pay $100 million for illegally operating a crypto trading platform and money laundering violations, which is almost exactly the same thing that Binance got done for just now back in August. For BitMEX, this was back in August of 2021. And what we also saw with BitMEX, if we go way back, was I think it was around when Bitcoin was about $9,000. On this, right here, right fucking here before everything got crazy. We're looking at maybe September of 2020. Don't quote me on the date, but somewhere around here, definitely around this time of year, plus minus 2-3 months. This is where Arthur Hayes stepped down from BitMEX. So kind of similar situation to Binance, and what we saw back here was obviously that the market rallied massively. Now, does this mean that the market has to rally massively now? Obviously not. Correlation doesn't mean causation. But it's what it really does tell us is that if a major CEO of a major platform steps down, it doesn't have to mean the beginning of the end. And that is how certain people have been describing it without saying names. I'm certainly not trying to allude to any particular characters. We are going to make a video on him, by the way, relatively soon. If you guys do want to see that, then tell me you want to see the Capo video. But it doesn't have to mean the beginning of the end. August of 2020, when BitMEX got hit with the fine, was about over here, and Bitcoin just continued to rally up absolutely spectacularly. So that was BitMEX back in 2021. Also Coinbase, this was a lot more recent, ordered to pay $50 million to settle New York State investigation and invest $50 million into compliance, which is funny. And Coinbase is a big, pretty well-respected company within the United States. It's a San Francisco company. I mean, they check a lot of the boxes, and my God, they will financially oppress you the way that US would love. And they still, got caught in some pretty serious crossfire over here, if that's what you want to call it, paying $50 million in fines. Now, is any of that close to Binance? No, but Binance is also significantly larger in terms of operation size than any of these. But the point is that they have, what we're seeing now is not something we've never seen before. We're just seeing it on a bigger scale. And I think that's important, because if you are one of the people that think, well, you hopefully don't anymore, because fucking nothing happened after the news. But if you're one of the people that think that CZ stepping down and this whole Binance fiasco is going to mean the death of crypto, then I mean, from a fundamental perspective and just looking at how these kind of things have played out in the past, it really doesn't seem to matter. By the way, I mean, I didn't even make this clear, but this Coinbase news was January 4 of this year, the very beginning of this year, and where was Bitcoin at the beginning of this year? I mean, it's ridiculous, guys. I mean, Bitcoin was down. It was literally at the fucking bottom, like the exact fucking bottom, when this Coinbase news hit. So, news is just not what, you used to tell you that the market's going to get weaker. It's just not how it works. And in fact, this is where, I remember those big guys in the suit and ties I was telling you about. They publish news articles like that around prices like this to make you sell your crypto at the bottom so that they can buy it and then dump on you. Probably not here, maybe like up here when you've been bearish all throughout here. You faded this rally. You're bearish about Bitcoin over here. Bitcoin breaks up and you're like, fuck, okay, I'm finally going to buy it. And then they sell to you. And that is just how it works. You buy high and you sell low, and you make the rich people richer. That is just how these markets work. And we don't have to hate the game. I mean, it kind of sucks, but if you know how to play it, and this is what we're working at, you and I together on this YouTube channel, then you're gonna do okay. You're gonna do well. So I think that's important to keep in mind. look at moving forward. Also, of course, Binance's proof of reserves. We've got some interesting stuff going on over here. The main thing is, the USDT. I believe that they're going to be paying out of for the settlement. You can take a look at this in your own time, but Binance is doing fine. From a proof of reserves perspective, from a safety perspective, I don't like Binance. I actually have extremely strong negative opinions towards them, but I'm not unrealistic. They are good. They are solvent, and there's nothing to worry about in terms of funds as far as I can see. Of course, I might be wrong. I certainly hope I'm not wrong, but I could be. I don't think that this marks Binance going bust. I think that this is, and I actually tweeted about this right here. I think a lot of people, haven't had a particularly realistic perspective of this. If you were Binance, if you were CZ, you could go back in time knowing that the penalty is 4.3 billion, a maximum 18-month sentence. He's probably not going to serve any of that. And you would have served US customers, violated AML, and built the biggest exchange in the world, and you knew that you would land up right here. Would you take the $4.5 billion fine? Well, first of all, did you look at this? I'd chop my balls off with a plastic spoon to be where he is. That Martini guy, he fucking knows. This is, this is how the world works. Obviously, if you've been paying attention, you're gonna know this. When you get big enough, and really when you get really, really big, the game is no longer okay. I have to abide by the laws. The game is I can break the laws, but then I'll pay a fine, and that will reduce my profits by 10%. And that's kind of the game that these guys are playing. And obviously the numbers might not be exact, and I might be 100% incorrect about what I just said, but like I said, if you've been paying attention, you're going to know that that's how the game works. So really important, note, I think, and obviously, me just coming in here mentioning that, CZ, he's still a majority shareholder of the company. He's moving out of the spotlight. He's retaining a massive market share in the space. That's not going to change very much. It should, but I don't think it will. And there you go. He played the game, ladies and gents, and he won. He got exactly what he wanted, and he did it, by showing up to court one day, and then offering people, some startup advice, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, of course. So, he had it's really interesting. He had a very long tweet about all of this, and he barely mentions anything about, the fact that he's potentially facing jail time and that he's pleading guilty or whatever the case may be. He is he's just celebrating himself and deflecting the news from other things. It's a controversial one with CZ. He's not an angel. Is he a villain? I don't know. I don't necessarily think he's a villain either. It's complicated. It goes deep. Ultimately, it doesn't matter, and that's probably the relief of these conversations. But I think one of the key points is that the dude came out really well. Like that Martini guy said, I think most of us would chop our balls off, with a fucking plastic spoon to get to where he is, and I think that that really says a lot. So. Nice, interesting way to frame that. Obviously, if you guys want to check out what I'm posting right here on this Twitter page, then come check it out. It's just a bunch of shit posts. We're having some fun with it. Binance allowed ISIS, Al Qaeda, and Hamas to transact on its platform. I find this very funny because the U.S. government points this out. So my response, of course, was wait until the U.S. government finds out who they've allowed to transact with the U.S. dollar. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, we're going more meta with these posts as well, so links in the description. Go check it out. Let's talk about the altcoin market a little bit. I want to focus your attention on Ethereum for a minute. I think that there's some really cool opportunities brewing for Ethereum right here. Ethereum's actually seen a big move up after this drop that we just saw over here. And if we take a look at the position that's putting Ethereum in, we're actually right now getting close to some really nice opportunities for Ethereum. Take a look at this right here. We had some very, very consistent resistance and support throughout the course of this month so far. We respected it pretty well with some minor exceptions, and if we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, it's even cleaner actually. So pretty well. I think overall we can move this box a little bit higher and it's still just as valid. The bottom line is that we're looking at a pretty well-respected range, and if Ethereum is able to get above this range and come back down, this could turn into a really nice range for some long entries to continue trading the upside. Now, there's something about Ethereum and getting up this high, it just never really goes well for Ethereum. Ethereum has tried aggressively for a long time, and it just hasn't been able to break above this red line with any real consistency for 540 days. So it's in a much worse position than Bitcoin from that particular perspective. From the first attempt to right now, after we fell deep down into the crypto abyss, as Crypto Kirby would say, shout out to Curbs, fucking miss you, man. It's been 466 days. So, Ethereum has really struggled. Does that mean Ethereum is going to continue to struggle? I don't know. I think that against Bitcoin, it's looking pretty bad. But I think given that Bitcoin has stayed this high for this long, it doesn't make sense to me that Ethereum is not also going to get some sunshine. So I am expecting Ethereum to move up, from that perspective. I think because Bitcoin has been able to do it, and if Bitcoin continues to stay here or even rises higher, it's just very hard for me to imagine that Ethereum stays exactly where it is. I have to imagine that Ethereum might rise up to levels like $2,500, which would make some really, really nice long positions, because if we look at the kind of thing that I just outlined, from here at $2,050 to get up to, let's say, $2,500, that's a really nice 20% move. And, just even with like 5 times leverage, that would be enough for me to double my money, which is super, super cool. And because of that, I think that, this is starting to look quite spicy. If things are holding up this well, if we're starting to pave the way for, a much more bullish Bitcoin environment where, things are more regulated and safer and happier and, boring and whatever the case may be, but just in the right direction from a regulatory standpoint, then, we have got a really good opportunity here for these markets to pull off something quite impressive, and I just don't see Ethereum being left behind. And again, on the flip side, against Bitcoin, it's just in such a shit position that this chart is just so clearly bearish. It's come down to the same low. This time it looks even worse. Is it possible that we form some sort of a double bottom here? Definitely. If the USD price is looking this bullish right now, I don't think it's completely unreasonable to say that Ethereum can at least get up to, 0.062 BTC per token, which is not a big jump, by the way. From the current price, that's only 12% up against Bitcoin. Not crazy. If Bitcoin stays in the same place and Ethereum moves up, by a little bit, it would be enough to kind of, trigger that move. So keep an eye on this. I think that this is really important. A similar picture for Solana, by the way. Solana over here has managed to recover a lot of its losses from all of this mess as well. It's still got this key area of resistance up ahead at about $56, which is only about $1 away. If Solana is able to get above these kind of areas of resistance, then it should be a lot more smooth sailing for Solana to rise back up to that $60 range as well, which is also going to be, a nice little bit of price action, perhaps, 9-10% pump in there somewhere, that could be traded as well. Obviously, like I said, some beautiful opportunities, but please do keep in mind that if you're in any countries that have banned crypto derivatives trading, then don't use them. You're not allowed to. It'll be illegal in your country. But if you're good, just read the disclaimers. If you're good and your country allows it, then be my guest. Check it out. You've got over 196k in bonuses, and like I said, CoinW, you can trade any of this stuff without even making a deposit. You just got to open a futures account using my link down below. No KYC, nothing to worry about at all, and you will get a free $50 trading bonus that you can deploy into the market with any ideas you have. Again, you only have to deposit $100 and then make any trade worth any amount of money, and you're going to get another 100 to trade with as well, which is super, super cool. So Solana in a similar position right here. If we take a look at this against some important indicators like the 4-hour Ichimoku cloud, we have got phenomenal support right here as well. So it's definitely a time for me to be a little bit more optimistic on this particular altcoin market. Same image for Ethereum, by the way. If we take a look at Ethereum, it's not as good, but it is definitely similar. We're finding some decent support of the Ichimoku cloud. It's not as bad as Bitcoin, but it's certainly not as good as Solana, for example. So, it's a little bit more hazy. And if we take a look at some other picks like Cardano, we're looking at a similar structure overall. I mean, a lot of these coins are in a similar place. Cardano has phenomenal support from this Ichimoku cloud. Of course, Cardano's position is a little bit more complicated because it is up against heavy macro resistance right here. If we take a look at this on the logarithmic chart, we can start to appreciate that this particular sideways range that Cardano has been facing has been heavy resistance for Cardano since we first hit it in 2021 in January. So that is 1,000 days ago, and you know, it definitely could continue to present some problems for Cardano over here as well. But you know, just in this more shorter term view, you know, Cardano has also recovered fairly well, and this is something I'm going to continue to watch and also be quite interested in potentially taking some positions on in this market. We also gave some analysis on Phantom inside of FourFly's VIP. Obviously, those of you that are inside of VIP will be very well aware of that. Exactly what we said has played out, which is fantastic, and it has now moved down to some potentially very interesting levels, you know, to look for some upside plays over here. So I'm not going to talk too much about this one because I shared the details inside of VIP, but you know, this could definitely be an interesting one soon. You know, I mean, to be able to retest this range at about 27 cents, you know, there could be something here, especially because Phantom has dropped down so much. I mean, you know, eventually you've got to expect some sort of reversal, and I think that this is the kind of price area where a reversal might start to make a lot of sense. So I'm definitely interested in checking that out. And if we do move it back to Bitcoin here, you know, it's all about how we interact with these ranges right now. I mean, you know, Bitcoin is right in the middle. That shows us that we're in an equilibrium. You know, and if you are like me and you're kind of, you know, trying to read between the lines, then you're going to know that, you know, when you've got an equilibrium, but you've had a lot of bearish shit happen in the market, then it's not really that scary, in my opinion. You know, I mean, if a lot of crazy, bearish, scary shit has been happening in the market, yet the market's just kind of pretty steady, then that's going to tell you a little bit about how much people actually want to sell versus how much people actually want to buy. And if we're not seeing that supply-demand equation tipping significantly in one direction or the other, then you've got to start questioning, well, how scared is the market? You know, I mean, just generally reasonable questions, I think. So there you go, guys. It's been a very conversational one with me today in this video. If you did enjoy it, let me know in the comment section down below. Tell me you want more videos like this. If you've made it this far, then thank you very much for your attention, because it has been a long 36-minute video. Of course, make sure that you have subscribed, you've ticked the bell, you've liked the video, all of that beautiful stuff, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.